Calrie Marsh, and I'm an attorney who practices in the area of bar admission. Today, I want to give you an overview of what to expect in applying to the Florida bar. Before applying to the Florida bar, you need to do a background investigation on yourself. This requires you to seek out documentation and information about your past and supply them accurately to the board. Now, there are questions on the application that may seem fairly harmless. However, if you omit or fail to accurately respond to these questions, this could create an issue for you. For example, there is a question on the bar application regarding residences, where you've lived for the past 3 years, and also where you've lived since the age of 16. Now, this question may be benign for someone who is 21, but for someone who is 50 or 60, this question takes you way back, and you're going to be required to provide this information. So depending on your age, depending on the individual, some of these questions may require more digging, may require you to hold more records than others. The other thing that you need to be mindful of before you start your application is the timeline. Now, the Florida Board of Bar Examiners incentivizes applicants to apply early. Early means at the end of your first semester of law school, so by January following your first semester in law school. Now, this may be great for some individuals, but for others who have lengthy backgrounds or may have issues, they may need to apply later. One of the benefits of applying early is a reduced fee for those who apply by the January following their first semester. And this may be manageable for people who don't have much of a history, but for some people who have lengthy histories and have to request documents, this may not be feasible. So that's the financial benefit. The other benefit of applying early, especially if you have issues in your background, is that you get a jump start on the background investigation, which may take longer than the 6 to 9 months that's projected by the Board of Bar Examiners. And so you may get clearance earlier, or during law school, you may have a chance to handle and take care of any issues that come up while you're in law school. The con of delaying your application is that if you wait until right before graduation and you complete your application, you're also dealing with graduation requirements. You're also dealing with the prospect of studying for the bar exam. And you're also going to face delays in admission because it's going to take longer for the board to review your application. It may not necessarily take longer, but the time for the background investigation, that 6 to 9 month period, starts running from the time you submit your application. So for example, if you submit your application in May, right at the time you graduate from law school, you sit for the July bar exam, scores come out in September, your application may still be undergoing investigation, and you may not be granted clearance or admission until the end of that year or the following year. So you are delaying your own admission based on a delay in submitting your bar application. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation because some people may need to wait to submit their bar application depending on the background issues, depending on the ability to receive and obtain documents. But you also have the option to submit your application and give the Board of Bar Examiners notice that you're awaiting documentation, that you'll update them as soon as the information is obtained. So there are many ways to go about this, but I think the key takeaways are to know before you start the application process. Go to the Florida Board of Bar Examiners website, look at their checklist, look at the requirements, look at the things that you will need to do, and plan ahead. The next step is to get the documents that are required. Get police records, get court records, get tax records, get a history of your residences, get um, records from your past employers or records from your past schools or universities. And this will make your application process a lot smoother, more complete, and avoid issues down the line. And then finally, know and plan when you're going to submit your application. The financial incentive may not be enough for you. It may be that you need to wait until your second year to submit your application. But the takeaway is that the sooner you submit your application, the better it is for you to have your background investigation completed by the time you graduate and by the time you sit and take the bar exam. If you pass the bar exam, then you will not have any delay unless there's a background issue. But you should know before you start the application, don't delay, and plan in terms of timing when to submit your application in order to avoid a delay in admission. Another part of the bar application that is document intensive or maybe document intensive is the response to question 25 and 26. And these questions regard mental health issues. You may be required to disclose or provide medical records. You may have to have your medical providers or treatment providers provide medical records to the board. Therefore, if you have these issues, you may want to apply early in order to get these records submitted and reviewed. You're dealing with third parties that are outside of your control. You want to make sure that these records get to the board in sufficient time to complete the background investigation or for the board to make additional requests. And so applying early will be beneficial for someone who has document intensive issues on their application. Another question where delays may occur is question 10, believe it or not, which is the references question. Now, if you apply early as a student registrant, this question does not apply to you, but when you convert your application or if you apply after your second year, you will have to disclose 5 references for the board to contact. A lot of times you give these references heads up that the board will be contacting them, but they take their time or they're not as quick to respond to the board's questionnaires. And this may cause a delay in your application. So you want to make sure that you choose people who are going to respond timely, quickly to the board in order to avoid delays. And this is on top of any other document-intensive issues that you may have. These are some things that you should consider when you're applying to the bar. Before submitting your application, get your ducks in a row so that when you do start completing the application, things will go smoother, your application will be complete, and the board will have less things to request or additional information to request from you. If you have any doubts or questions about the bar application process and what's required, you may need to seek the advice of counsel. If you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.